Okay, good evening. It is 7 p.m. I want to welcome you to the Sun Prairie Common Council meeting for Tuesday, January 6, 2026. Elena, would you please take the roll?
Drangler,
Present.
Jacobs is excused. Owens,
Here.
Rosas,
Present.
Baker,
Here.
Comstock,
Here.
Crombie,
Here.
and we have quorum.
Thank you, Elena. If you're able, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
Of the United States of America,
Republic,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
justice for all.
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. And before we get into making a motion, I would like the council's indulgence to go through a few things that personally I felt should have been under committee reports. And I want to make sure that the general public hears what's in these rather than have us just bundle everything together and report on one council or consent agenda. So what's obvious is the approval of the minutes will be going through the bills presented and appointments, but it's the other consent agenda items that I want to go through. The normal, there's a change at Pick and Save for their liquor license agent, and that'll be Jeffrey Feifel. And so we are going to pull item DB per request from Alder Crombie, Alder Comstock, and Alder Baker. Next item, I would like to, before we make a motion, I would like to report or have a report on the Business Park Lift Station Improvement Bid Award because I think it's significant in the city as we close out our lift station upgrades, and Alder Comstock has agreed to report on that from Public Works. Would you? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Did you want me to do that
Yes.
now? Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you. In October 2025, Sun Prairie Wastewater Department requested bids to upgrade the Business Park lift station, and construction would take place in 2027. The distance between the gaining the bids and starting the project has to do with preparation work that needed to be done that will take that much time to do. So that the project isn't scheduled to start until 2027. The Joe Daniels Construction Company was the only company to provide a bid for that. It was determined that he was a qualified contractor, and they believed that the complexity of the project increased some of the cost associated with it, and also probably reduced the number of companies seeking the bid. Bid amount was $660,940. It included a tariff tax allowance, utility allowance, and bid alternatives. It's over what the engineers estimated for the original project, but there was a recent addendum adding work at a different lift station to the project because of a recently discovered pipe failure. This upgrade is the fourth and final lift station upgrade, and it is a project that had been budgeted for already, and it falls under the total approved SIP dollar amount so that we're not going over budget with it. And one SIP project number covered all four of the lift stations, so it was all included in the same process. The recommendation is that staff is recommending that the bidder, Joe Daniels Construction Company, be accepted and awarded the contract for the Business Park Lift Station project in the amount of $660,940. And with that, I will move approval.
Well, we're going to approve everything at one time.
Oh, you're going to leave this in?
I just want it read into what we're approving.
Okay.
But thank you for that, though.
Then I take that back.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next item is the resignation of Alder Benedict. And yeah, again, I sent Alder Benedict a note when she had submitted a resignation, thanking her for her service, understanding her reasons. They were very valid. And in my note, I communicated to her that I think we all sit up here that with the purpose of wanting to make a difference and making this city better. And I said to her, she has definitely made a difference in the time she served, and would welcome her back, at any time in the future when things calm down in her life. So, again, reluctantly accept her resignation. Next are 4 items for personnel, and feeling that these should have been singled out because I think, again, the public, for full transparency, needs to know what's happening. And so Alder Owens has graciously agreed to talking about these 4 items that were out of the Personnel Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Stocker. Okay, the first item is approval of a non-union job classification of the Human Resources Payroll Specialist. This is not a new position. This is just taking a current vacant position and classifying it as essentially an entry-level job. The second one is approval of the creation of a non-union job classification for the Division of Chief of Fire Prevention and Inspection. This also is not a new position. This is a current position and basically a reclassification, and it meets the standards that the chief has given us in terms of fire prevention, because as a graduate of the Fire and EMS Academy, I can tell you the first job is to prevent fires. And I learned that lesson, and I'm here to support that tonight. The third item is approval of the changes to the workers' compensation policy. Currently in workers' compensation, if you have an injury, you have to fill out this form, you have to notify your supervisor, and the insurance carrier has recommended a new procedure where all employees would be given a hotline number in case of an injury. You'd get a triage nurse and get seen by the nurse first, and then the process would be automatic to file the injury report based on the nurse's findings. So it really streamlines things. And then the final thing is approval of changes to the conflict of interest policy. Currently, when any of our policemen work outside of the city, for example, primarily at the UW-Madison for athletic events, under our policy, they can't wear their uniforms, and this policy would change that so they could wear their uniforms. And also, having been an employee of the athletic department and hired a lot of police for especially football, we want them to be in uniform because that's how they make their presence and their authority known. And we just don't think that any longer that's a violation of conflict of interest by wearing uniform at an athletic event. And those are the 4.
Thank you very much, Alder Owens. Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda with the exception of D, B, which we are going to pull for the MOU.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that passes. So now we're going to talk about item DB, and that's the approval of amended table of responsibilities within the MOU between the city and the YMCA of Dane County for Club Cardinal Summer Camp. This item was asked to be pulled by Alder Crombie, Alder Comstock, and Alder Baker. So who would like to?
I can step in for a second. I did send
Sure.
an email to the entire mayor and council earlier today. We are asking from the staff level for this to be tabled until the January 20th meeting. It was discovered that the only thing included in your packet was the staff memo. There was no agreement attached to it. So you can't approve something you haven't seen.
Sure.
We have received feedback from all of you on it, and we are planning on doing an updated memo to address the concerns that we've been hearing. So if you have other concerns, please, and you haven't reached out already, please reach out to Chad and myself, and we will make sure on the 20th it is listed under the Parks and Recreation Commission item on the agenda, and everything is ready, and you'll see the agreement. So
Okay.
we are looking for a motion to table until the January 20th meeting.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
I'll make a motion to table it until
Okay.
January 20th.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to table this until the January, to the next meeting. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So we will carry forward. We had a jot form from Jewel Kavanaugh. We'll carry that forward to our next meeting, January 20th. Okay, very good. Moving on, citizen appearance. Anybody in the public that's here for something not on the agenda? I don't see anyone. Business of the mayor, proclamations. I will talk about that proclamation in the announcements. We're not presenting it tonight, but we do have a presentation that we'll be doing tomorrow at 1 p.m. at Colonial View for a 100th anniversary. So I'll talk about that later. Next committee reports, Committee of the Whole. This will be a first reading for an ordinance creating Chapter 9.08.120, misuse of emergency phone numbers. And I believe Chief Warwick is going to present.
Certainly, Chief Warwick could summarize it if you'd like, Mr. Mayor. It's merely at this point just the first reading of the ordinance. So
Okay.
So this would be the same ordinance we discussed at our last COW meeting, and this is the first reading, and then it would get approved if council so wishes at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So no action, just moving it forward.
That is
Correct.
correct. It is just a notification on the agenda so the public's aware that we are at the first reading stage.
Okay. And following that, a first reading of the ordinance approving an amendment to the City of Sun Prairie Comprehensive Plan to update the Mobility and Transportation Systems chapter. So we'll be moving that forward to January 20th also.
Yep, that is correct. First reading, same as the previous
Okay.
item, Mr. Mayor. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, moving down, Media Center Commission. We have the approval of a Media Center staffing proposal, and we do have some public comments. I would like to do those first, and then we'll open it up for a motion and discussion. Excuse me. So the first is a jot form from Dan Presser on this item. Dan writes, as a member of the Media Center Commission, I was one of the people who unanimously voted in favor of this proposal. I did that with some reservations regarding using Media Center budget to pay part of the communication manager's salary. At the time of the Media Center Commission meeting, we were told by staff that we would see those numbers at a future date. If possible, I would like to see the supervision change put on hold until we know more about the cost of this change to the Media Center budget. In the meantime, we would continue operations at the Media Center with the senior production manager supervising the operations as we recommended. In addition, we could bump up the hours to the part-time production managers as we also recommended in the Media Center Commission meeting. My main concerns are having enough hours to continue offering the Kids 4 programming and services. Over the last 3 years, those staff hours have drastically been cut by staff reductions. Secondly, I'm not convinced using Media Center dollars to pay more salary to middle manager is the most cost-effective solution for the city. Perhaps keeping oversight of the Media Center at the chief of staff level makes more economic sense. I want to be clear, this is not a statement about the communication manager's talent. I think the communications manager should work with the Media Center to strategize and collaborate. It makes sense. I just don't think it makes as much sense to have that position supervise the day-to-day operations of the Media Center if it's going to cost the Media Center and city more than continuing with a senior production manager doing it. Thanks for your time. Opposes the item, and he will not speak at the meeting. We also have the public. We have a couple of people in the audience that would like to come forward. First one is Steve Sabaki. And Steve is supporting this request and wishes to speak. So if you could please state your name, Steve, and address.
Thank you. I'm Steve Sabatke at 1021 O'Keefe Avenue. I'm here again to speak to you about the Media Center. As I've told you before, it's my 10th year as a volunteer. I served on the Media Center Commission for more than 6 years, most of that time as its chair. I'm here tonight to support the staffing proposal brought forth by Alder Owens and approved by the Media Center Commission on December 18th. Now, it's not perfect. It's not ideal. It's not my personal preference, but it's better than the alternative, which I believe is having the media center simply function like a lot of other media centers around the state. And that is as an entity that provides strictly coverage of city government meetings and some community events, and that's it. However, my support of the proposal does come with some questions, and the first one is this. Now, on December 2nd, the council voted 5-3 to restore and retain funding for the Media Center Director position in the 2026 budget and to authorize the position to be filled immediately. So what happened to that? Now, I get it. It's only been a little more than a month since that time, and we had the holidays. But I guess I'm just curious as to what happened with that, which was approved by the council by a 5-3 vote, and now we have this coming up now. The second question I have is that this staffing proposal, as I think Dan Pressner mentioned in his note, increases the hours for the 2 part-time media center employees by 5 hours each per week. So if you do the math, the end result, the way I figure it, is a net shortfall of 30 hours per week of staff being directly on site in a hands-on capacity because you will not have a media center director. So what impact is that gap going to have on the current programming and services that are being done at the center? The memo for this proposal states that the increase in hours for existing part-time staff, which would provide capacity and flexibility to media center staff to assist in citywide communications. So if you pair that with what is actually a work hour shortfall, what does that mean for media center operations? I'm concerned about Kids 4 programming too. Is that going to be cut back? Because I think that is a very important and vital service that's provided by the center. On a lesser note, I mean, I'm a volunteer. Will volunteers like myself be told that they can no longer get their programming on the air, whether it's on radio or TV? The third question I have, and again, involves the statement in the memo, which again states the increase in hours for existing part-time staff would provide capacity and flexibility to media center staff to assist in citywide communications and explore revenue generation options. Please tell me that with the net loss of direct on-site hours, along with the added responsibility of assisting in citywide communications, which I assume includes communications on the referendum, that you're not going to expect existing on-site media center staff to also try to come up with ways to make money. I can't speak for them, but I don't believe they have the time and the capacity to do that, given the number of employees that we now have, and they're not fundraisers, and that's not a slam against them by any means. All of them are fantastic at what they do, but they themselves will tell you themselves, they're not fundraisers. I don't understand this concept that some have that the media center needs to raise revenue in order to survive. It's a branch of city government, and there's no other branch that's expected to do what the media center is supposed to do when it comes to revenue. But if that's what you want to do, then you can't place that responsibility solely on the shoulders of staff and the Media Center Commission. It's got to be a collective, collaborative effort that includes not only staff, Media Center staff, the Media Center Commission, but also the Friends Group, the City Council, other city staff, maybe even volunteers, and maybe even the business community. Please don't do what the council did to us in late 2023, and when I say us, I mean the Media Center Commission, and that was Media Center Commission, come up with a plan for funding for 2025 and beyond. And we're going to give you, I think it was 4 months to get it done. Well, we did that, and it was rejected. And the Media Center has gone from 4 full-time employees to 2, and now it's down to 1 full-time person. I've said this before. I really fear for the future of this important and vital resource for the community, which contributes so much to our quality of life. It's like the museum, the library, and the parks. It helps keep people here even when their taxes go up. As I stated at the beginning of my little talk here, I support this proposal. because it's better than the alternative. And the alternative is one that has no additional hours for staff and no director. That's not the direction we want to go. But as I said, it's not better than what this center could be if you simply answer a question that I've asked multiple times, not only to the Media Center Commission, but also to this body, past council and present council. And that question is, what do you want your community center to be? Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, and next up, Carol Esser, please.
I maybe just hold it.
That works.
Yeah, I'm short. My name is Carol Esser. I live at 201 East Lane Street in Sun Prairie, and I serve as the chair of the Media Center Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to speak regarding the proposed changes to the Media Center budget. The Media Center Commission supports the proposed funding increase for the senior production manager and the 2 part-time production managers. This adjustment was reviewed and formally approved by the Commission at the December 18, 2025 meeting. However, the Commission strongly opposes the proposed transfer of $50,000 from the Media Center budget to fund the communication manager. The Media Center Commission was not consulted on this proposal and had no advanced knowledge that it would be presented this evening until the agenda was published last week. And actually, I just got the message yesterday, so it didn't give us a lot of time to think about it. This is a significant budget action that directly affects the Media Center operation, and it should not proceed without prior review and input from the commission charged with the oversight of the Media Center. In addition, the commission understands that the Media Center may be expected to produce promotional materials related to the referendum, police department, fire department, city administration, city council, and possibly other departments. Approving this plan would reduce Media Center resources at the same time as it is being asked to assume additional and potentially substantial production responsibilities. This is neither operationally sound nor fiscally responsible. For these reasons, I respectfully but firmly request that no action be taken on this proposal budget transfer tonight. Instead, the commission asks the staff to meet with the Media Commission to fully explain the purpose of this transfer, the expectations being placed on the Media Center, and how these responsibilities would be funded and managed. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. I'll bring it back. Alder Owens, as the Media Center rep, would you like to take this, please?
So what Carol just explained is correct. What the Media Center approved was a portion of the plan because at the time of the meeting, there was not information available on revenue changes or split of positions and what that cost would be, with the idea that that would be shared at the next commission meeting. The way I'm looking at it is the original concept I had for the plan was simply to not fill the position of the executive director and use those savings and reallocate them to provide promotion to the senior production manager and the additional hours for the LTE staff that we have to try to give them more capacity, and at the same time then build more of a fund balance for the Media Center. And it's correct that the final data that we saw was just shared with everyone yesterday. And to address that, I've asked Sandy Zong to prepare a presentation for an explanation and would invite you to share that with us.
Thank you, Alder Owens. So I've prepared a brief presentation, and I will have Ashley, our communications manager, speak at the end of the presentation as well. So before we jump into Alder Owens' proposal, I did want to provide some background information. So the Media Center is primarily funded by cable franchise fees along with state aid. So we annually track the franchise fees, and we know that they are currently declining at approximately 5% every year, as people move away from cable services towards streaming services. The Media Center does carry a fund balance, as Alder Owens mentioned earlier, and this allows the Media Center to fund one-time initiatives. At the end of 2024, the Media Center's fund balance was sitting at approximately $116,000. To date, the Media Center has committed a portion of that. So as a part of the library expansion and renovation, the Media Center is getting new studio flooring. We are also purchasing a new switcher for live broadcasts as a part of that. And so with that, the Media Center's new fund balance would be approximately $76,000. So as you all know, the director position is currently vacant. And as a part of the discussion at the December meeting, it was regarding the funding for that position and how to fund it beyond the 2026 budget. We recognize that alternative funding sources would need to be explored and received to ensure that we could sustain the position long-term, as there isn't funding beyond the 2026 budget. Also approved last month was the organizational restructuring, which has the communications manager overseeing the Media Center. And as you see on the chart there, one of the goals with that is to allow for better integration of the Media Center as one of the city's core communication channels, increasing their visibility and reach. So approved in the 2026 budget is funding for a full-time director, one full-time production manager, and two part-time production managers at 20 hours a week. You can see the organizational structure on the right there. But the chart on your screen is the breakdown of those revenues and expenditures. So the expenses for the 2026 year surpass the estimated revenues that we anticipate would come in. So as a result, we are applying a little over $62,000 of the Media Center's fund balance to balance the budget for 2026. That results in the fund balance remaining to be a little over $13,000 at the end of this year if we had a full-time director in place and utilize the budget as approved. So mentioned in some of the public comments and in previous meetings, we recognize there are concerns with the vacancy and with the financial outlook of the Media Center. We recognize the concerns around staff capacity to maintain existing services like Kids For and community programming. I know there are concerns around access to the Media Center and what that means for volunteers looking to come in to produce programming. We also know that sponsorship and exploring alternative revenue streams is something that is important as we look to find other revenue sources other than cable franchise fees. There are concerns from the commission regarding staff leadership and presence at the Media Center. So if there was a concern or a question that someone had, who was that point of contact for them to go to? And then, as mentioned earlier, just the general concerns around the expenses outpacing revenues as presented in the previous slide. So the proposal from Alder Owens today is to keep that director vacancy vacant, which results in approximately $140,000 in savings. We would be increasing the part-time production manager hours from 20 to 25 hours a week. This makes the positions WRS eligible for retirement, which is a benefit there. And we would be elevating that full-time production manager to recognize the increase in responsibilities there to a full-time senior production manager. And so with this structure, we look to sort of divide the existing responsibilities of that vacant director role between both the communications manager and the senior production manager. So the cost of that, increasing the part-time production managers and elevating the existing full-time position, would be approximately $50,000. So I did want to speak to that $50,000 that was mentioned earlier this evening regarding the salary allocation of the manager. I did want to clarify that is not a salary increase, rather a transition of how that position is funded. So with the communications manager taking on some of those director responsibilities, like overseeing the operations, overseeing the budget, preparing the budget, overseeing and supervising the staff, $50,000 is what we would transfer from the general fund to the media center fund to recognize those changes in responsibilities. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So in summary, rather than keep the position just vacant and no increase in hours, the proposal would allow additional hours for staff at the media center. It does result in a net savings to the media center by reducing those expenditures. And I know there's ongoing conversations with the Friends group and how we can better collaborate and work towards exploring sponsorships and other ways to fundraise together. So with that, it will also, as mentioned in that previous slide, the transfer of allocation in funds there from the general fund to the media center fund creates $50,000 in savings in the general fund for the city's general fund, which that can be used for city expenses at the council's discretion, and it results in an overall savings of $40,000 to the media center fund. So overall, there is a long-term vision for what we see this collaboration looking like between the communications manager and the media center. I am going to invite Ashley up here to just speak a little to that.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thanks, Sandy. All right. Yeah. So I know that there is some concern about the change in how things would operate. We know this is different than how things have run in the past. So, there is some concern that we've been hearing about potentially losing some of that technical expertise and on-site management. So I kind of wanted to speak to how both the communications role and the communications manager role and the senior production manager role would kind of work together. So as the communications manager, I would utilize my skills and expertise in communication strategy and my purview of the overall communication needs of the entire city, the entire organization, to best leverage our media center resources, which is something that we've heard through the Ad Hoc Communications Committee as being a priority. This would allow us to identify priorities and streamline efforts and really better position the media center as the resource that it is to other city departments. There really is a lot of information to share across the city, and doing things this way would create some necessary efficiencies, working smarter, not harder. So bringing the strategic lens to the table as we think about the future of the media center will ultimately result in a better end product for our citizens. So more education and content on city services, which at the end of the day is the most important outcome. Regarding the senior production manager, so we already have the technical experience at the media center, and this is our opportunity to recognize and leverage that. So elevating our production manager to that senior production manager role would empower them to formally take on that leadership role that in many ways they're already filling, and have that on-site leadership. So that, in addition to adding hours for our part-time staff, would help to bolster capacity in a way that hiring a media center director and consequently not increasing hours for existing staff just would not, especially if we would be tasking that director with primarily fundraising for their own position. So again, we know this is different than how things have been in the past, but change is inevitable as our community evolves and grows. Our communication needs change as well. So this model allows us to continue on with many of the programs and services that the Media Center provides today to the community, while also operating as that communications arm, which in many ways it already is, just without the strategy, the visibility, and the efficiencies that need to be in place. So that is something that we feel would be brought forth with this staffing model.
And with that, we're happy to take questions.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Sandy. Okay, Alder Owens.
One thing, Mayor Stucker, did Teresa Stevens submit a JOT form?
There was no JOT form,
Oh, with just an email.
just an email.
Okay.
Would you like to read that into the record, or?
Yeah, you want me to, or do you want to? I think it should be in the record.
Right. We'll enter it into the record. Hopefully,
Okay,
sure. Yeah. Will do.
okay. Thank you.
So with that, would there be a motion from this body? Alder Dringler.
Still had a few questions.
Okay.
So yeah, and not just the speakers tonight, but I also received several residents reaching out to me asking about Kids for programming specifically. So under the new plan, would it be, can I reassure our neighbors that we'll continue Kids for that program?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Sandy or Ashley? Alder Baker.
Are we going to read Teresa Stevens' email into the record and then come back and be able to ask questions? Or do we have to ask questions now and then read that in?
What would be your preference?
My preference would be to have that read into the record first prior to more questions. Because I think it'll add for more questions.
Okay.
Okay. You want me to read it, Alder Owens?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Teresa Stevens writes, this is on Media Center, item G. Good evening, Council and Mayor. Under Common Council, item G, Committee Recommendations, Media Center Commission recommends Council approve the proposed staffing plan as presented. Fiscal impact, the proposed staffing structure will result in an estimated budget savings of $40,000 to the Media Center Fund. That was presented by Sandy Zhang, Chief of Staff. Number one, you need to know that the Media Center Commission has not, she emphasizes not, reviewed the updated staffing plan as presented. They did not, and again, emphasizing not, have the financial information presented to them yet. These numbers only came in yesterday. The fact that this is even on the agenda that was issued last Friday and the numbers were not made available until 5:45 p.m. on Monday is unacceptable, but worse, is misleading about a vote to get an initiative passed. This is simply, again, unacceptable, and on this alone should be voted down. But if you follow the money, it is not a, she puts in quotes, cost savings. Staff was reduced last year, and this savings is really shifting what the Media Center was paying a former director to a new manager who has no experience managing or running equipment, programming, or doing any of the day-to-day work at the Media Center that staff do, and who will also not be working at the Media Center but stationed at City Hall. The community survey said to reduce administration. This is the opposite of reducing admin. It's, and she puts in quotes, bringing a managerial role, which she didn't apply for, into the same pay scale as other managers. No. Number two, what direction is the city communications going? This has not been stated clearly to the Media Center Commission or the public. Is this a hostile takeover for the administration to have complete control over public messaging and broadcasts? Because any more reduction and Kids For, which generates funds, will be cut. The very essence of community media is dying with every vote to reduce cost savings and shifting the money there is to managerial positions. It's time to invest in the people doing the work. Number 3, what day-to-day work is the communication manager doing? The new person has been there for a few months, and yet how have communications improved? Is there a concept of the plan? How has she engaged with the Media Center staff so far? Number 4, when we expect more transparency from administration and council around what it plans to do with the Media Center. The library just invested money to renovate another department's offices and expand program offerings to continue to grow Kids 4 and summer programs, while during the last year, the Media Center is being systematically dismantled by administration and council. Members of the commission seem equally confused by the actions and lack of transparency. At the very least, postpone this item until next month when the commission has a chance to review it with financials, or vote no and wait until the referendum vote to make more informed decisions. Thank you, Teresa Stevens, District 2, 819 North Street. So back to Alder Owens.
Actually,
Oh,
I was going to yield to Alder Baker.
okay, Alder Baker.
Whichever one of you want to ask questions.
You caught me off guard, so I
I'm
was
just
just
gonna
absorbing what she is talking about here. First of all, I think we had a directive, and it was December 12th, the council made to hire a new director.
December 2nd, I believe. Yeah.
December 2nd?
Mm-hmm.
And
Somewhere in there.
did the applications go out, or the notifications for hiring that position? And how many interviews have we had for that position?
So for us to put out a position in December is not typical. We do not post positions of any sort in December because people are focused on the holidays. They aren't typically submitting applications for positions. By that time, going into mid-December, we understood from Alder Owens that he wanted the opportunity to present to the Media Center and have a potential reconsideration of this item, which is what's before you this evening, as Alder Owens's proposal. So at that time, it wouldn't make sense for us to go out and put a posting out there, which would be about this time at best, if we knew that the item was going to be coming back before this body for reconsideration. And so that's why we have not acted, is one, we would never have posted the position in mid-December, any position, unless it was an emergency situation. And certainly we would not do it if we know that there's an alder that is in the process of moving forward with a proposal to have the body revisit the item. That would look like staff was circumventing that process of that alder wanting to have a conversation with this body about moving forward. So that is why we have not moved forward with posting the position.
Follow up?
Sure.
It just seems, and help me with this. I'm a new guy, so I'll keep using that phrase for a while, for another month maybe. That the council gave the directive on this, but yet you overrode that based upon a possibility, maybe something could change without direction from the council. And call me crazy, I don't know if that's appropriate. Is it? Doesn't the city staff take direction from the council? So why wasn't this carried out? I don't care if it was December, January, or whenever. I mean, that process should have been started. That's one thing. It just shows that I don't know who's making the decisions. Is it staff, or is it the council that's making the decisions on this and the process on it? Then we come to this situation where with the commission, I listened to it. I was there, and about the changes, and Alder Owens has great ideas. It's a wonderful idea. I don't agree with it, but I went along with it. We've talked about this, using the senior production individual and then increasing the amount of hours, because we knew the Friends group would be more than happy to support their efforts in the way of attracting revenue to the Media Center. And the key phrase in this was if production quality increased. And so we were for that position on this. Then for us to learn, and at that time, at the commission meeting, what was asked was, based upon the org chart, that the communication director would be, the media center would be reporting directly to the communication director. And the question was, how much of that salary allocation was going to be applied to the media center? At that time, there was no answer. The information wasn't provided, which for me, I mean, we're a city of 40,000. How many millions of dollars do we spend every day? I don't think we go to the bathroom without a budget, without knowing exactly what our numbers are going to be before it's carried out. That was a big shock and surprise for me, and a huge disappointment that we didn't have our I's dotted, T's crossed before we'd even make that recommendation on here. Then the second part was, since the city or chief of staff was involved with the media center, how much of that position's salary allocation would also be allocated to the media center? And we haven't received an answer on that. Or any other employees that have their salaries allocated towards the media center. Mm-hmm. So it's some concerns there. Here's another thought. So originally the idea was not to replace the director. And so at that time, I want to say, and please, I could be wrong on this and help me on this, Mr. Mayor, was that, so the director resigned. We're not going to replace that position, recommendation of staff, to have a savings on there, but we still had our full-time employee as a manager. Then we had our 2 part-timers, and we had a chief of staff who had been supporting, managing, supervising the media center for years. Why wasn't that good enough? And how many of those dollars were allocated at the time? Well, how many dollars of the chief of staff's salary was allocated to the media center at that time prior to the org chart being changed, which now adds 2 layers to this? Because knowing the staff that we have at the media center, we don't need that middle level of management. They know what they're doing. And to have that 50,000 taken from the media center in allocation actually would help fill another part-time position, maybe 2, maybe a few more hours. But the key here is that it's the level of production, productivity hurts every time money is siphoned out of this organization. I'll give you a great example of this. Again, the Friends Group said it needs to see an improvement in production. Recently, I was on Danelle Gay's Christmas show. A wonderful lady, full of energy, and she likes to show like travel products and that. I was asked to be the guest this year, and her husband was running the controls in the control room. There were 3 cameras in the studio, and the man's running back and forth, trying to handle all of it and still be quiet. And at the same time, you could hold up a product, but you couldn't see it because there was nobody on the camera that could do a close-up of the product. And I think people would have really appreciated that. The same thing with athletics and other events and the things that we're doing. Lastly, my last comment on this is I know that we're going to use the media center for quite a few things with the referendum. The question is similar to like the IT department. When they come over to the media center and they have to do work, they charge the media center for the things that they do. What is the level, what's the budget that has been applied to the media center for carrying out all those activities? I mean, it's got to be over $100,000 of staff time, equipment time. Where are those dollars coming from to offset those costs? So there's a lot of concern here, and I understand the request to table this and talk about it, and maybe we should, but I think we need to get a lot of this out on the table so we as council know what's going on. Remember, we've learned that we really don't make the decisions, and then also talk about it a little bit and see if we can fix this. I don't think the media center needs a babysitter. I don't see that, and I apologize. They don't need another middle-level manager to make this successful. And we know the city, through the communications committee, said that, yes, that is the source that we want to use for this, one of the sources. Thanks for putting up with it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alder Baker. Is there any questions for Sandy or Ashley? Otherwise, they can sit down if there's not.
Yeah.
None? Okay. Oh, Alder Dringler.
I will have two.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Alder Baker. There's a lot to discuss tonight about this. I guess one of the questions I had was, if this were to move forward, so maybe for Ashley or for Sandy, about how many hours would the manager dedicate out of a week, perhaps, or a month, or however you'd like to do that, towards the media center?
So it's hard to say for an allocation of hours. I don't view the communications work as segmented in this way. I view how we've talked about it and how we've talked about it with the staff at the media center is that this is one of the levers that we can use when we're communicating to our residents. So in one of the slides that Sandy showed, when you're looking at communications, there are multiple avenues, right? There are press releases, there are, texts, there are social media. And then, we have this wonderful resource in the city that is the media center. So I think there are multiple different ways that the media center is being, has operated in the past. Obviously, there's wonderful community programs, but the way that we would work together is, I would provide that oversight in terms of the purview of all of the communication needs across the organization so that we can be more aligned, more strategic about when and how to use media center resources to get the message out to residents. Yes, referendum is one example, but there are plenty of other examples for how we can be better communicating. I know that communication has been very top of mind for this body, for this community for some time now. In my few months that I have been here, I've learned a lot about that, have talked with a lot of people about that, attended the ad hoc communications committee meetings. And I think that a shift in how we're doing things is warranted. I don't think I could speak to right now, like what are the number of hours. I think it is going to be constant communication with the staff at the media center to learn, to share with them not only the priorities of the city, but their priorities. So this is would be very much a collaborative approach in how we go about communicating with the public moving forward.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say the number of hours, but
if I could add to that and maybe address some of what Alder Baker's questions were, is part of the reason why communications is not integrated is exactly the concept that the media center's fund is protected, that it is the media center's dollars, that the city cannot ask for resources out of the media center without paying for those resources, paying for those dollars, and monies cannot freely flow back and forth between the two entities. So, as I mentioned to City Council last time we discussed this, I had asked previously, 13 years ago, for the media center to be part of the communications arm of the city. The thought was, you don't get our resources unless you, city, pay for those resources. And at the time, the media center fund was solvent. It was covering its expenses. It was a real fund in the sense that it was covering its expenses and it did not need support from the general fund to be solvent. As you see from the numbers that Sandy presented this evening, that is no longer the case. Money is already freely flowing between media center and the general fund. It's just flowing in one direction. The general fund is supporting the media center in order for it to be solvent. And it will have to do that more and more each and every year. So when the media center is saying we need to protect our funds from the city, it's no longer a solvent fund on its own. The city is already providing funding to the media center, and that will grow over time, unless there's some intervention through fundraising or some other method, that will grow. And so we believe, and I think what Ashley's saying is this it's ours and you're yours and it's separate, that has led to the segmented communication program that we have. It is all the city. The media center's money is the city's money. There is no, it's not like water or wastewater where it is a separate fund and it is a protected fund. That never existed. The city could have always kept all of the PEG channel money, did not have to give it to the media center. That's a policy decision at the local level, not at the state level. And now that the fund is no longer solvent, and it hasn't been for a number of years, we've already been providing funding to the media center fund in order to make it solvent. It's even more the case that it is no longer an independent fund that is protected for the media center, because there's already money moving in between the two funds, general fund and the media center, and that will only grow moving forward. Now, in the case of the questions of who's managing, when Sandy was managing the media center, there was a media center director. We have now shown you through numbers that we cannot afford to add another full-time position to the media center, which would be the director. The only way we can do that is through fundraising. We have already established that on December 2nd. So that would mean that Sandy's role would change and she'd be managing the staff of the media center, not managing the director. That's why we've asked Ashley to come into play here, is to be the manager of the media center and integrate the communications programs of the city versus it's the media center, it's the city, they're two separate things, and though they should not pass each other. That's water over the bridge, that's already occurred. And even under this proposal, we will run out of money in the media center fund within several years, and we'll be back to city council saying, this is no longer affordable. Even under this proposal, it does not last long before it is unaffordable again. And as Steve had mentioned several years back, we had said to the city council when we went down to 3 FTE, our proposal at that time, for those that were on council, was to go to 2 full-time, which is what it is today. The Media Center Commission said, no, we want all 4. We want our 4 full-time people. We said you could afford 2. The council said, we'll go in the middle and do 3, see how things turned out. We see where we are, we can't afford 3. So this is not new information. This was where we were going unless fundraising changed the dynamic, and it hasn't, at least not on any level that would create a full-time position. We're raising, I think, $30,000 a year to do that. That's not going to be enough to change an FTE. As far as the administrative charges, the Media Center Commission has raised the administrative charges for years as a potential resolution to this matter. Obviously, the city council would have to cover those costs. Anything we're charging to the media center, that would have to move then onto the general fund. And the city would need to subsidize more of the media center's operations, right? And so I guess that's the context we're working in, is we think communications needs to be integrated. It should not be media center city. It should be integrated across. And financially, even this proposal does not keep the media center solvent for long. We're talking 2 years and we're back at it again. So hopefully that answers some of those things.
Alder Baker.
Go to Alder Owen, come back to me.
Okay, Alder Owens.
I just noticed in my email, we have another email on this issue. Oh, I'm sorry. I just noticed in my email, we have another email submission.
From Susan?
From Susan Schmidt. I think we should read that into the record as we did Teresa's.
Actually, I had a response that she wishes it not be read.
Oh, she does?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not see that. Okay, never mind.
Alder Baker.
I appreciate your words. Thank you. Here's the thing that we know, that just a few years ago, the decrease in the media center wasn't the media center. It was the mismanagement of it from the top. And by changing different structures by inexperienced individuals, we lost revenue from committed individuals and businesses in the town. So when you talk about that, the deficit or insolvent or deficit, it's because of the management, not at the director position. The director was put in there because of the experience that she had for over 20 years of involvement, who ran an incredible program with Kids For, the most unique program in the United States. There's not another one like it, that teaches kids to be accountable, responsible, creative, and working together. So when you say that about the lack of income, that's our fault. That's the city's fault. We would not listen to folks. The other thing, and Steve Sabaki makes a great point, why is this department treated any different than any other department? Why is that? I mean, does the fire department have to go out and raise money? Police department have to go out and raise money? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they have to go raise money they'd like us to give them more money. Yes, thanks, chiefs. But we're missing something here, and I appreciate the history lesson and all that stuff. We got to look at today and how we move forward. Moving forward by applying that communication person's role in there, and that $50,000, that hurts. It could be better utilized. And if you think about it, and everybody that's watching, you're watching because of the media center and what's going on right now. You get to watch all the activities in the city, as many as we can cover. And right now, activities that have been, tossed aside because was decided that we had to use volunteers to cover things. Ribbon cuttings, supporting our businesses in the community. There couldn't be an individual going out there that's running out for an hour or two, filming that, and then putting it out using social media. This is just such a mess, and it's been created over several years. We've been here. We've witnessed it. I've been in the middle of it, along with people like Steve Sabaki and Rex. So it's there's more to the story than what you're hearing here. You need to have the media center professionals doing media center work, and that's our full-time production manager and our 2 part-timers, which I'd love to make them full-time, but we don't have the dollars right now to do that directly from the city on it. My question to staff is, how much have you allocated for the production of videos, radio, doing the newsletter production, because I believe Colin does that production? How much have you allocated towards the media center for those activities? The dollar amount.
So I can't speak to the referendum work, as the budget was approved prior to us starting this work. But the general fund is providing $50,000 annually for the work that's being done by the media center. It includes the broadcasting of city meetings like this. It includes assisting with video productions. We do track those hours. I don't have those numbers before me this evening, but we do regularly track that. Staff have that information, which we could provide at a future meeting.
Sure, the $50,000 is for meetings and cover city meetings. That's period. That's what it was put in there for.
And other work.
That wonderful phrase, and other work. It's like, and other duties that we can think up. So here's the other question is, how can you apply a $50,000 fee when you don't know the amount of hours that person's going to be applying to that position? That just doesn't make sense. We're a smarter city than that. We've got some of the sharpest financial people I know. You can't just throw a number out there without having some kind of reference to that. And if I'm off base here, council, let me know.
So that number was an estimate based on the existing hours that staff had provided to cover city meetings and provide other production at the time.
I apologize. I apologize.
Okay.
I'm talking about the the allocation for the communication manager.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I misunderstood.
That's okay. That's my fault. I apologize. How many hours? I mean, how did you come up with that $50,000 number if you don't know the amount of hours that position's going to apply?
Well, I guess the only thing I would throw out there, one is,
Here it comes.
if the director position cost $140,000 and it doesn't exist anymore, the work of the director is gone, and the communications manager's costing $50,000, that's a $90,000 savings to the media center. That work that existed prior to Rachel leaving still exists. Budgets, accounts payable, payroll, managing staff, performing evaluations. 50,000 of management versus 140,000 of management is a $90,000 savings, and there are still administrative tasks that still need to be accomplished. So the argument of the 50,000 to the media center is too much, more than the fund can bear, when you're saving 90,000 that it would cost to have a director that would primarily, you could argue that that media center director would do more for the media center than what the communications manager would, if that media center director wouldn't have to primarily be focused on fundraising to support their own position to continue.
So the answer is you don't know.
No, the answer is
I want an exact timeline. How many flipping hours is she going to apply to that position?
One, we're talking about a change in 2027 is what we're proposing.
Okay.
We can provide that information if we want to get down to the exact the 50,000 and what it's allocated to. That is fine. We're happy to do that. What we're talking about in 2026 is the staffing allocation that has been proposed by the media center staff, by the way.
Right.
They're proposing go without the director, right? That's their proposal. We are merely suggesting that the communications manager assist in that process to integrate communications. Even the 50,000 that we're proposing reallocating, the media center fund won't have the funds to pay it. It won't matter in the end, because we'll be subsidizing the media center fund by more than that in the end. And so the relevance of the 50,000 will become less and less.
Alder Dringler.
Correct?
Yeah, as far as, just to take kind of a step back, I don't think it's because and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, the commission can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding the media center wasn't proposing going without a director, it's just that we couldn't afford a director.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, there is.
All right.
There is not a long-term solution for a director, and the alternative, the city council at the December 2nd set forward a path, asked the media center staff at the meeting to opine on that path. The media center staff, I believe, the next day or in that subsequent week said this would be our approach to moving forward. Which did not include the director role. So,
Alder Baker, or excuse me, let's go to Alder Owens and then
I
over to
apologize.
Ashley, I just have a detailed question for you. In the presentation, it mentioned that you would do direct work and supervise at the media center. Could you explain more the direct work portion?
Absolutely. So when we're talking about producing content for our residents, educating them on city services, we've already got an example in the works right now where I'm working directly with John, have created a script for a video regarding the referendum. He and I are going to be meeting, working together to kind of vision board what that looks like. So there is going to be some of that kind of strategy work. The strategy work that I intend to bring to the table is not just prescribing, I want the media center to do X, Y, Z. It's saying, here is a communication opportunity that we have. Here's how I would approach it. Let's talk about that together and see like what the best approach will be, and then kind of identify roles. So I am not the kind of work that I wouldn't be doing is that technical side, running the cameras, working with the Kids for crews. We have that expertise on site with the existing staff, and especially if we're able to elevate our production manager to a senior production manager. But there will be definite opportunities for me to not only set the strategy, but to help enact the strategy. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
If I could just use an analogy there, growing up, I was fortunate to work for a utility company in the summer, and we would typically have a crew of 4, and one person would be operating the ditch digger, one person would be the welder, and then 2 of us would be grunts. And I was the grunt, by the way. And typically in that environment, the welder was the working supervisor. So my translation of what you just said is you will serve as a working supervisor. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I mean, I think too, there might be some misunderstanding of kind of my background and what I do. So if it's appropriate for me to share some of that now. So I do have a background in doing all sorts of different traditional communications. So that does include media production. I've not had the opportunity to work with a media center at the scale that we have here, but I did go to school for digital broadcasting. I have held several roles in traditional communications and marketing. So I bring a different skill set and experience level than perhaps we've seen at the media center before. Not to say it's better or worse, it's different. So considering some of the communication challenges we have as a community, knowing some of the challenges that we have at the media center and some opportunities that we have to, as Aaron said, align and be not us versus them, but be truly to truly create synergy across the departments. I think that's kind of where this comes in. So yes, I would be doing some of that working management on, I mean, I already meet with them at least once a week. So to give you some context there, I'm not just sitting at City Hall and not listening into kind of what's going on. But so there would be kind of a balance of that type of work.
Thank you.
Okay, Alder Dringler, then Alder Baker.
Yeah, so because we can't afford a director for the media center right now, I do support elevating the production manager to senior operations and increasing the hours of the part-time staff. However, I just want to make a comment on the recommendation from the Media Center Commission, because to me, when we get a recommendation, whether it's from a committee or a commission, when they vote unanimously on something, that carries a lot of weight. However, now we're hearing from some commissioners that they felt they didn't have all the information that they needed at the time, particularly the financial information. So unless there's a clear objection or clear reason why not to, I would propose sending this back to the commission for further discussion so they can review it now that they have all of the information.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to send it back. Is there any discussion? Yes, Alder Owens.
Can I ask legal counsel a question?
Sorry, I was listening, but I didn't. Yes.
Okay. I know that the role of the commission is in ordinance, but I confess I don't know exactly what that is. So is the commission's role advisory, or can you explain that?
I sure can. Give me just 1 second to pull it up, and I don't fault you for not knowing it because I worked with Sandy on the revisions to that ordinance, and I don't remember what it says either, but I can get it pulled up, and I'll tell you in just 1 second. I know we did some significant revisions because there was a lot of confusion in the past about the relationship between the Media Center Commission, the Friends of the Media Center, and then staff and how that would work. So in going through, the commission members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the Common Council, and the duties of the Media Center Commission are to offer guidance to staff, encourage use of the Media Center, advise on the operations of the Media Center, facilitate equitable access to the center, facilitate public programming regarding the facilities that are available, oversee staff's development of the budget, which is submitted and approved by the council, follow the city's purchasing policy, budget funds accordingly, accept donations to the media center as permitted by city policy, approving equipment purchases of over $5,000 recommended by staff, The Media Center is not able to take on any form of debt without the authorization of the council. So they are purely, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful because the advice they provide is important and good guidance for our staff. They are an advisory committee. They do not have the authority of, say, a plan commission or a library board.
Thank you.
Alder Comstock?
At some point, things seem to have gotten really confusing. And it doesn't seem like things are working out the way it was intended, or even perhaps the way it ought to be with an organization like the Media Center. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about the Media Center for a long time. And I think it's really important that whatever decisions are made, whatever action is taken, it's done the right way. And it seems that I support your motion. I think it needs to go back, and they need to have some impact on it. And I don't think that we can make a good decision unless it does.
Thank you. Any further comment? Okay, so the motion is to send this proposal back to the Media Center Commission. Elena, would you please take the roll?
Drangler,
Aye.
Owens,
Aye.
Rosas,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Comstock,
Aye.
Crombie,
Aye.
and that passes 6-0.
Okay, thank you. So,
Mr. Mayor, just one point of clarification, just because there was some confusion brought up earlier. With it being tabled, our intent would be not to post the position until this matter is decided by the body, just because I don't want further confusion about who, where is staff following the direction of this body. And so I just wanted to be clear that that would be our intent, is to not post the director position until the matter is concluded by the city council.
I would agree, but I'll ask the alders, in agreement? Yes. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sandy and Ashley. Okay, on to new business. First item is the election of the city council vice president. And this again is to replace Alder Benedict, who has resigned. Alder Comstock.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Alder Owens for that position.
Okay, so the question would be, Alder Owens, do you accept that nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Alder Rosas, did you ever hand it?
Same. Yeah.
Okay.
Nominate. Yeah. Thank you.
Do I hear any further nominations? Okay, by lack of acclamation, congratulations, Alder Owens.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the election of city council representative to the housing committee to join Alder Baker in this vacancy, again vacated by Alder Benedict. Do I have any nominations?
Can I ask you a question? What does one vacancy for two seats mean?
It means that Alder Benedict has left. We have two seats. Alder Baker has one.
Oh, okay.
And Alder Benedict had the other.
Thank you.
So that's just to fill that vacancy. Alder Drangler.
Yeah, just a clarification. I didn't quite catch that. What position or committee is this for?
This is for the housing committee. Yeah, this would be a representative, a council representative. We have two. Alder Baker is one. This would be a second
Just
one.
a point of information that might help this. The ordinance is you have up to 2 seats. You don't have to fill the vacant seats.
Okay.
And just for a tiny bit more context, that was made because when the committee was created, there was one aldermanic seat, and there were alders at the time who said, well, more than one of us is interested in serving. So we'd like to have the ability to have two if there are multiple people interested in serving. But if there's not, one is fine. So you can fill, but do not need.
Okay.
I mean, we could mess with Alder Jacobs since he's not here and nominate him and approve it. I mean,
we could, but
I was going to say Alder Crombie, but she's not feeling well, and we'll give her a break.
Okay. Does anybody want to self-nominate themselves? I would ask that also.
I'd be okay. Oh,
You were nominating yourself, Alder Crombie?
Yeah. Oh, I thought Bill had nominated me.
No.
Is this the second? Is this the second Thursday of the month?
It's first Monday.
Oh, Monday. That's right.
It was
Yeah.
rescheduled this month until this coming Monday.
And it's led by the mayor as chair.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I can nominate myself.
Okay. So is there any further nominations? Okay, congratulations, Alder Crombie. We will see you on Monday. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We have coming forward from the Committee of the Whole, filling the vacant District 4 aldermanic seat. Again, this came forward as a unanimous decision to leave this position open. So I would open it up to a motion. How you want to handle this, either to fill the vacancy or coming forward with the unanimous decision to leave it open.
I'll make the motion to leave the seat vacant.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Okay, I will say before we vote that for a short-term position like this, I have heard from our public that they felt that leaving it open and leaving it up to the voters in their district is more of a advantageous route to go than having the council decide that. So I think we really are making the right decision. I'll just give that input. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, Helena, would you please take the roll?
Drangler,
Aye.
Owens,
Aye.
Rosas,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Comstock,
Aye.
Crombie,
Aye.
and that passes 6-0.
Okay, once again, unanimous decision. Thank you. Okay, next, referrals to the Committee of the Whole. Do we have any referrals? Okay, hearing none. Announcements. Do we have any announcements? I referenced earlier that tomorrow, if anybody is available and interested, at Colonial View, we at 1 p.m. we have a 100th anniversary or 100th birthday party for Gladys Chicks, and this should be quite the occasion. If anybody would like to come to the Colonial View at 1 p.m. Okay, and again, Aaron's already announced upcoming Frozen Fest. You can gear up for that. Hibernation Hustle, you can sign up for that. I think the puzzle contest has been full almost as of the first day it opened. Not sure if we'll have the ice sculpturing with the weather like we're having or the ice skating activity, but that's to be determined. Alder Crombie.
I was just going to say, if you can make it tomorrow, Gladys Chicks is wonderful. I mean, this is a woman that's so positive, and I can't believe she's already 100 years old.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, well, hearing no other announcements, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.